Hello, friends. It's Greg here on the Blue Feather Ephemera channel, and I've got a bonus topic for you today. I announced recently, in case you missed it, that I was going to separate the bonus content from the weekly What Sold videos, and this is the first installment of that. It looks a little bit different. It sounds a little bit different. Well, it sounds a lot different. When you listen to this intro, you might not know if you're going to see ads or whether you might go gator hunting. But we're just going to look at ads. We're going to talk about some things that have sold, and hopefully you'll find this interesting and informative. So stay tuned. What you're looking at on the screen right now is a couple of completed sales. These are sales from other sellers, but I sold this same ad recently, and I noticed a couple of things that I wanted to point out to you. And I just, no, no, a couple of other things, not those things. Get your mind out of the gutter. What I noticed is that I could use this as a demonstration to show you how different sellers approach the work of selling differently. And then I also thought this might give a little bit of insight into the minds of buyers. So we're going to take a closer look at these ads. First of all, this one up at the top, this one sold first, and it sold on October the 14th of this year. The price was $6.75 with $4.85 shipping. Now, right below it is an ad that sold about 2 weeks later, October the 31st, $8.99. Now that was a 40% off price from $14.99, but it sold for $8.99 with $4.95 shipping. And so those are what those sellers decided to sell this advertisement for. Now we're going to take a look at mine. Now, here's the one I sold yesterday, and I got $18.77 for it, and I got full asking price. That's far over $10 more than the cheaper one that sold recently, and right at $10 more than the other one. My shipping is $4.77, so it's right there in the ballpark with the other two sellers. So how did I get $10 more for this ad? Well, availability is the key. When I listed this ad, I remember that I did a video back during the month of June to show you all that I had updated my SKU system to include a date code. And I know by that date code that I listed this ad in that first month of that during the month of June. So this has been for sale for more than 4 months. It's a unique ad. It's visually striking. It's, I guess you could call it a man cave item, but that wouldn't be the only place for this. But it's a good ad, and I thought it could command a good price. And I looked to see what was available, and I looked at sold comps, and I saw that there were other copies available far cheaper than mine. However, I thought that the ad warranted, a good price. And so that's where I put it, content to let it sit for a while until it sold yesterday. And I just wanted to demonstrate that to you. It's a business model issue. The other sellers that sold this ad far cheaper are probably perfectly content to get a lower price. And that's because their business models are probably different. I'll go back. We'll look at another aspect of that in just a second. But anyway, let's talk about the content of the ad here quickly. I'll be reviewing this in a What Sold video soon, but let's go ahead and look at it. This Maidenform bra advertisement series went on for years and years, from the 50s up into the 60s, maybe into the 70s. And they used the most beautiful models, they used the most exotic settings, a lot of fantasy involved, or a lot of, like, daydreaming kind of stuff, just real artsy kind of advertising. This one here says, I dreamed I was. And all of these Maidenform bra ads start with, I dreamed I was. I sold a different one recently that she dreamed that she was a classic beauty. We'll look at that in just a minute too. But this one says, I dreamed I was wanted in my Maidenform bra. And so just a nice advertisement. Now, before I switch screens back to this one, I should have pointed out on mine that my total of feedback is 421. And I've got roughly like a 40% feedback rate. So that represents feedback on about 1,000 sales. The feedback from this store right here, 26,837. That's a lot of feedback. This person has moved a lot of products, and I don't know if that's solely a print ad store or not. That's a little bit beyond how deep I want to dive with this. But this other one also 10,049. Now I've looked at this store before, and I believe it might be strictly just a print ad store. But what I'm getting at is both of these stores sell a lot more ads on a lot lower margins than what I do, because the highest possible margin on this ad right here, if they're using quality packing materials, is probably $3 to $4 on this ad on the top. On this one on the bottom, maybe $3 to $5, $4 to $5 is the margin of profit on this after eBay fees and stuff like that. I mean, it might be a little bit higher, but they're, obviously a lot more sales with a lot lower margins. And that's the business model that they've decided on. I want to take a closer look with you at the transaction details. $18.77 was the price that the customer paid for the ad, and they paid $4.77 for shipping and $1.13 for Maryland sales tax. And so their total was $24.67. Out of that, eBay sent $1.13 to the state of Maryland, and eBay kept $3.14. That works out roughly to 12 to 15% for the eBay transaction fees. And then it cost $5 and a penny to create the shipping label that went on the mailer to send this ad to Maryland. So $15.39 is what eBay says the order earnings was. Now, all of that wasn't net profit, because you got to figure the cost of the ad and the shipping materials. Now, some sellers will say that the amount invested in an ad that they sell is maybe a penny or maybe a nickel or something like that. And there's merit to that. But I don't really look at it that way, because if I source 50 advertisements out of one magazine, I'm not down to the penny or nickel amount until I've sold 6, 8, 10 or more of those, um, because I usually pay a little bit more than $2 per magazine copy. So since maybe $2 is the magazine copy price, I use $2 for the ad cost when I figure net profits. Now, my margin will be a little bit higher, but I'd rather err on the side of caution. So let's say, for example, I had $2 invested in the ad, plus, that I've computed the cost of all of my shipping materials based on the size of the advertisement. I'm going to link that video up at the top so you can go back and watch that video called My Pricing Secrets Exposed, because that's where all of this detail is. But for an ad this size, it cost me $1.56 to ship, $2 for the ad cost. So that means that my net profit here is roughly $11.83. And that's, I'm thinking, got to be about double what the other sellers netted on the same advertisement. And right here, I'm going to drop you a little teaser. This is the main slide from that video that I mentioned just a minute ago and showed you the link to. I believe it was number 18 in my What Sold series, and the bonus topic content was called My Pricing Secrets Exposed. Now, right after that, video number 19 was part 2 of pricing, and it talked about how some ads command a premium price or a premium amount to be applied to the base price that you'd charge. So make sure and check it out too, because the two go together. Here's a quick look at the other one I sold. And this one was reviewed in a video a couple of weeks ago. And it shows the model here at a temple of Neptune somewhere in Italy. I can't remember the name of the town, and I don't think I could pronounce it if I remembered it. But this ad campaign, hugely successful for Maidenform. Pretty girls, exotic locations, and like I said, the little bit of fantasy daydream kind of stuff going on. Really neat series, and it ran for a long time. Let's wrap up by jumping over to listed ads and just take a quick look at some of the other ones that are up for sale right now. To kind of round out this topic and bring it to a close, I'll show you just a few of the other ads from this ad campaign. This first one says, I dreamed I was a toreador. She says, I dreamed I took the bull by the horns. This one says, I dreamed I went to blazes. This one says, I painted the town red. And she says, I dreamed I had a stylish carriage. This one says, I dreamed I was Cleopatra. And this is my favorite out of the bunch. She says, I dreamed I barged down the Nile. And so there's just a few of those great ads from that very successful Maidenform campaign. I hope you enjoyed this discussion of the topic, and I hope you see that, if you want to move ads quickly, by all means, price them with low margins and move them quickly. But I think the point I tried to make with this is that you don't necessarily have to. If you find a good ad, you can put a good price on it, and you'll get that price. All right, that brings us to a close. I hope you'll join me again next time for a bonus topic when we'll talk about something else. Bye for now.